mystery theory. Today I'm gonna do part 2 of the Kendrick Johnson case. And if you missed part 1, I'm gonna have it linked on the top of the screen and in the description box down below, because otherwise what I'm gonna share with you today, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. You kind of have to go through how his body was found and everything that I shared in part 1 of this series. So check that out if you want to understand what I'm sharing with you today. I am still fighting this cold, so I have a stuffy nose and probably heavy breathing, so I'm hoping I put the gain a little bit higher so I can stay away from the mic a little bit better, so I can spare you. Hopefully it will be okay. In today's second and final part in the Kendrick Johnson series, I'm going to talk about the autopsies, compare one to the other. We're going to talk about the missing organs. That was very, I don't want to say popular, but it was very talked about. The missing belongings, the free funeral service that he got, the missing footage from the school, the Bell brothers, which at some point they were accused by the family, racism according to some claims in the same lawsuit, and a little bit of the explanation on this particular investigation and how the police made sense out of the evidence that they had. And at the end, of course, my own personal theory. Now, the second autopsy that was paid for the family and supporters contradicted the original autopsy and reported physical evidence of blunt force trauma to the right side of the neck and some evidence of an inflicted injury that was likely inflicted by somebody else. Reading about this and how they didn't find it in the first autopsy, some people, and again, this is something that I read. There was an expert that wrote an article about this in particular, how sometimes or some injuries can be inflicted after death and how it can affect the autopsy. We know that the teacher moved the mats, and then when he got to where Kendrick was, the mat fell. It could have had something to do, according to this article, with what they found, because it kind of fell on the right side and rolled into his left side. That was the position where Kendrick was found, quote-unquote, found by the police. I mean, when the police arrived, that's how he was. However, just think about for 1 second, if you are the parent or if you are close to him, and then all of a sudden you exhume your son's dead body, and they say that there is a chance that this was inflicted by somebody else. The family wanted to take the GBI, the Department of Justice, and the coroner's office and get a coroner's inquest, where I didn't know what that was, but basically they said that it's an investigative grand jury that listens to the evidence and then rules on the cause of death. That was where the debate started. The first autopsy saying that it was an accidental death, the second autopsy that said that it was a homicide, or likely a homicide. organs, which made the second autopsy a little bit harder as well. I mean, when they started investigating about it, GBI confirmed that they sent the body with the organs stuffed inside the body as is protocol. But when they asked the funeral home, they said that they never received them and that they were told that the organs were destroyed by quote-unquote natural processes or decomposition, and that they got rid of them at the pathologist's office, which is not on record. Let's go through this, okay? Because it's a lot of I sent them, I didn't receive them. There's a lot of different theories and things that could have happened. So let's go through those. Number one, it is very uncommon today to stuff a body with newspaper. It wasn't in the 70s, it was actually pretty popular in the 70s. But that's not standard protocol today. Now, as you can probably imagine, when they did the second autopsy, it was kind of, they came to that conclusion, but really, they didn't have the organs to test either. So, they had to take some images from the first autopsy in order to kind of complete their research or their search for something in that autopsy. So really, it was mostly the outside because the rest was stuffed with newspaper. Now, it was very hard for them to come to different conclusions, because of that on the second autopsy. But you have to understand that the funeral home was something that a free service that the family wasn't going to be charged for. It was a horrible tragedy, and people in the community did want to help. And one of the ways that the funeral company helped was by doing the funeral service for him. Now, some people believe that because this was a free service, that the funeral home probably cut some corners to not make it that expensive. And probably that they got rid of the organs because we know that they were in very bad shape, and maybe they weren't smelling the greatest, and not that any body part is going to smell okay, but I don't know what their standards are and when they decide to get rid of the organs and when they don't. But at this point, the family wants to believe that GBI, it's probably, and it kind of looks that way, but every single paperwork, even from the guy that, or the person that transported the body from the GBI offices to the funeral home, everything was signed as received. And it's kind of hard, I understand that it's GBI against the funeral home, but there are documents that support the theory that GBI in fact did put the organs inside the body. And the funeral home said, well, we didn't get them. There are some theories, again, as I mentioned before, that the funeral home discarded them. Not only the organs, but also the clothes and personal belongings that really were not given to the family. So which one is true? There's this big theory that says that they probably killed sell his organs, but it actually took them 24 hours to find the body. And unless the organs at that point were still usable, I tend to not believe that theory, but it is something that was said. But again, I don't know how good they would be after being trapped inside 14 inches. A big body of this big boy. You would think that they would do it some other way. Now, is it possible that the funeral home got rid of them and cut costs in the funeral? Yes, it is possible. And it actually makes sense for a lot of people. You know, they probably thought that this case was closed and that they were never going to exhume the body later on, and they just didn't think that this would be something that they would have to answer to later on. Usually funeral homes, they do their job, then they put the bodies to rest, and then that's it. So other people think, well, what if the funeral home is telling the truth? And GBI is also telling the truth. Well, that leaves us with whoever was transporting the body. They could be responsible, right? They signed the paper saying that they received the clothes, the organs, the body itself with the organs inside, but when they go to the funeral home, they don't go over what they got. Apparently, there is no evidence that they gave a list of things that they picked up with the body. So that was a big thing. But then there's other piece of controversial evidence at this point that was discussed and had to go through by experts or third-party experts to kind of explain what happened. Because when investigators ask for the surveillance footage at the high school, they ask for the footage that included, Kendrick during the day that he disappeared, and the day after, so while they were doing the investigation. They got about 19 hours from 36 different cameras recording on January 10th and 11th that showed portion of the investigation, of course. Some people claim that there is missing footage, not by GBI or the investigators specifically, not from them, but some people believe that, the high school didn't give all the footage, that there were gaps in time, and that they really want to know where that footage is. Is it missing from the high school, or is it missing from the GBI? Well, you see, the big problem started when the police released the picture of Kendrick from the footage. You've probably seen this picture around, but it was the picture where, it was from the footage itself, and Kendrick was getting inside the gym and walking towards the mats. The problem is that the timestamp is not 100% accurate. Later on, CNN requested the videos. They put a court request about getting all the footage. But when they got those, they can't tell the time. They are not time-stamped. So how is it possible that the still that they took from the surveillance footage and that the police had and shared with the public had the stamp time, and the actual video that CNN got didn't? Was the timestamp wrong and didn't want to share to avoid questions from the public? Well, this was a big thing, so let me explain what they found and experts found on this. According to experts, a sat down at the high school looking through the footage. Somebody could have taken a picture of the screen in the high school monitor that would show the stamp and would show, the timestamp, and would show Kendrick going inside the gym. But it is very possible, according to this expert, that if they made a copy and gave it, to the police or CNN, that didn't have the stamp because it's not the same software. And it would have to have some special kind of settings in order to show the timestamp for the copy. But the one that it's in the high school, it actually shows the time, even though we later on learn that they're not synced properly and some timestamps are off. The frames are also off. The images jump from one to the other, and you can see that it's a glitch. But it seemed very, very sketchy. The expert explained that the surveillance cameras at the high school are motion activated, that the times are not synced, and that the system is not the best. The time codes are not synced with each other, so they don't make a whole lot of sense when you watch them as a whole. These cameras, according to the expert, they are set up professionally, but over time things will go, they will start to develop some glitches and they would go off sync. But you have to understand that these are security cameras that are installed to watch over teenagers, right? They don't expect a murder, or they don't expect anybody to die on campus, so this is not a high security prison where everything needs to be time stamped and perfect and correct, and so maybe they would get a few kids on camera skipping class, maybe vandalizing. But the precision of the timestamp, it's really not relevant for those scenarios. So over time, they have to do updates and resync them. But most of the time, there's no budget to cover that. Now, there was another expert. This is a CNN paid, they paid somebody to analyze over 290 hours of footage. And again, this was a third-party investigator. He concluded that there was blurriness. You don't have to be an expert to know that, but I'm gonna go through what he found. Jumpy images that went to different times and kind of jumped around. And timestamp issues, which we already know. But okay, now another expert is confirming that. He also said that these are all easily explainable things. That erratic motion sensors would do that. Outdated lenses or dirty lenses. The non-sequential footage in particular, it's one of the things that it's a result of corrupted files or lost information. He couldn't confirm if it was actually malfunction or processing error or deliberate tampering. He couldn't confirm, but he also concluded by saying that this is a common thing that happens when people do not keep up with their security system. He also said that there was about an hour of footage missing from 4 different cameras that were around the gym. Now I have to explain this because when you think about an hour of missing footage, well, this is between the 4 cameras, so it could have been an entire, 15 minutes on each of the cameras. But he also said that because of the glitches and because motion sensor cameras. It could be a period of time where people were not really in the gym at different times, and that's why the 15 minutes kind of added up to an entire hour. And that's how people had that other theory that maybe they were hiding that hour and something happened. There were a lot of things that it was really hard to get this footage. You have to remember that there's only a short period of time of Kendrick showing up in camera, but a whole lot of time of other minors in the gym during class. So it was one of those things that was kind of tricky to get. Now let's go to the Bell brothers. You probably heard about these kids, and you probably know who their dad is. Not by name, but who he represents. So if you are not caught up, let me explain. In 2014, the Johnsons name a couple of boys as suspects, okay? Their names are Brian and Brandon Bell, who are brothers. And the Johnsons believed that they had a reason to hurt Kendrick. I will explain the reason, okay? Don't worry about it. But this was in a lawsuit, okay? Because these brothers were investigated by the police at the time, okay? And I'll go through that as well. According to Kendrick's parents, they believed and stated in their lawsuit that the Bell brothers used a girl to lure Kendrick to the old gym where they were waiting for him to attack him. They claimed that the crime was a cover-up because their dad, the Bell brothers' dad, was in fact an FBI agent. This lawsuit that was filed by the Johnsons had more than 30 defendants. So, pretty big thing. In July of 2014, they sued the school system, the superintendent, and the school system and the superintendent for the wrongful death of Kendrick. And they mentioned in that lawsuit that a white student had a history of provoking Kendrick at school. Now we do know that in fact the Bell brothers were, well, not the brothers, one of them was involved in some kind of a fight with Kendrick, okay? But the Bell brothers even said that after that fight, that it was very silly, and I'll explain why they think it was very silly. But after that fight, they became friends. They stayed or remained friends, and that they were in good terms. But the Johnsons said that they really didn't know the brothers to be friends with Kendrick. Now let me go through the incident. The incident was between Kendrick and Brian Bell. And according to the family, this incident took place right before Kendrick died. But in fact, when this was investigated, it was 18 months earlier. So, a year and a half earlier, when Brian and Kendrick were in the football team. Now, I do not know if Brian is the same age as Kendrick, because according to what I researched, that day there were a couple of teams. Let me explain. Apparently both boys were in the football team, and after a game they went into the bus to go back home. In the bus, Brian and Kendrick started making your mama jokes, and it gets out of hand. guess, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, there are a couple of boys getting out of a football game, making mama jokes, and then getting out of hand. It makes sense. It happens. Not that it should, but it happens. Now, this is the part where the Johnsons really, wanted to add a little bit more to the story, and they share that when they got to the school, the Bell's brothers' parents were waiting for them. So they got in that vehicle and left. But Kendrick, he was sent home in a school vehicle, a police car, because he got in a fight with Brian. This is according to the Johnsons. So the Johnsons believe that white people can go with their parents, and the black kid is taken to his house in a police car. And keep in mind, this is the school one. They didn't call the police on him. And when they interviewed the officer, he said that he considered himself a friend of Kendrick, or friendly with Kendrick. And he knew that he had a bad moment, or he wasn't doing that great. So he offered him a ride. This wasn't a form of punishment. This was something of like, oh, you had a rough time. Let me give you a ride home because your parents are not here. The Bell's brothers' parents were there. And according to this officer, he said he wanted to do something nice for Kendrick. So the disciplinary action taken by the school, according to the officer, it wasn't a disciplinary action. It was him offering him a ride, trying to be nice, friendly. No, that theory that the parents took to court really didn't stand. In court. And I'll explain about the brothers, but the idea that he was lured by a girl into the gym, they have proof that that wasn't the case. That Kendrick went into the gym because he had a weight training class. And we know that he went to the mats because he needed his shoes for that class. That was the main reason why he got into the gym. But just so you know, the Bell brothers were investigated. And the sheriff determined that Brandon wasn't even in school property. He was in a wrestling event with the high school team, and he couldn't have been involved. He was out of town. Now Brian, on the other side, he was at school that day, but he has over 20 people that witnessed him being in class all day and then leaving right after. He never went into the gym. So, of course, the sheriff investigated the claims in the beginning, but they were never considered suspects for this reason. They had evidence that they were not in school property when this developed, or they were not at the gym. But the family were very frustrated, and they made a public video about the Bell's boys. They said in that video that the Bell brothers refused to cooperate with the police, and that the bus that took Brandon to his wrestling thing, didn't leave until 4 p.m., so he had more than enough time to get rid of Kendrick, according to the Johnsons. In court, everything you said, it's going to try to be proved otherwise, of course. So the school actually released their request. Yes, the request was to get the bus at 4 p.m. But that doesn't mean that they left at that time. They boarded the bus after first lunch that ended at around, I'm not sure if it was 12:02 or 12:20. So they had a very long trip. It was 150 this is where I'm gonna end today's video. That it's all the evidence, and that it's everything that it's out there to answer to the questions that a lot of people raised at the time. But if one thing I can tell you about this whole case is that this is sadly a very sloppy investigation. That if they did it the right way from the beginning, they wouldn't have raised so many questions. People wouldn't question authorities if this was run properly, if it was done properly, if it was run as any other crime scene, or, that they handle. But there is no physical evidence, no forensic evidence that would point to foul play, and that is why, according to the investigation, it was never believed to be a homicide. It was an accident. Again, according to the record. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what I think, if it was an accident or if it was a cover-up. I'm just going to give you the evidence that points to an accident, because after doing research in all this, and so many experts spending their time to try to prove it, otherwise it really always keeps pointing to the same direction. So I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think that the investigation started believing that this was an accident, so they were not careful. They didn't wear cover for the shoes, they didn't bag the evidence and kept it as evidence. I mean, the hoodie that they found in the beginning, it was given to the family. And later on, even the investigators told them, if you want to get that tested, you can get it tested because we gave it to you. Which, in my humble opinion, it should have been done by the police at that point. It should have been kept as a forensic evidence piece. But again, I want to believe that they thought that this was an accident. Deep inside of me, I think that they believed that this was an accident. So they didn't wear cover for their shoes. They didn't keep enough evidence or bag enough stuff as evidence. They didn't call the coroner's office for many hours. Why? Because they didn't think it was going to be something that nothing pointed to foul play. But I am sorry, that was a big mistake. I think that investigators can never assume that that's it and that's the only possibility. And as one of the interviews that I was listening to, it was a conversation, I think it was in a podcast, that they were saying that if this was the Bells brothers, if it was one of the Bells brothers, having a dad in the FBI, the investigation would have been handled in a different way. More professional, covering their feet and calling the coroner's office and keeping evidence. But this was a different kind of boy. This was your next door boy, And I'm not talking about being white or being black. It's being watched over or not watched over. If it was one of the Bell brothers, they would have been watched over their father, that was an FBI agent, and maybe would have been on top of the investigation. But they believed that this was an accident, and they didn't take enough precautions, and now it's biting them in the butt. Sadly, everything points to a horrible accident, and I have to say sadly because Kendrick died because of this, and it was a horrible thing. And how can you send your kid to school and then find out that he had such a horrible accident stuff being inside, you know, the kids needing to get their stuff from inside the mats while they were vertically placed. It only makes sense for a horrible accident. I also do understand that parents looking at, you know, their son in that state, you know, when they went to identify the body, not that they had to, but they asked to go identify the body, and they realized that it looked something completely different from their son. It is very hard to believe that he had an accident when he looks like he was beaten to death. When you are in the forensic, you know, evidence and autopsy and that kind of stuff, I mean, you can tell different injuries would reflect different things. An accident, you know, that he was squished inside, and what it did, and what it would do that to your eyes, to your mouth, to your nose. So you would have to have some kind of knowledge to believe that that was what happened. But for the family, they just saw their son that looked like he was beaten to death. This is such a not fair kind of case, you know, not that any of them are fair, but you know, on one side you have science that proves the theory from the beginning that this was an accident, and even the experts that promised, remember that they got help from a Christian thing, civil rights, even them, or one of their experts, after looking at all the evidence, concluded that it was all based on speculation and that the forensic evidence and cause of death are the only thing that would explain what happened to Kendrick's body. So now we have experts not only from the police, not only from CNN, third-party experts, but we don't only have them, but now we have somebody that was working with the Johnson family to help them, that says, hey, everything points to an accident. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was an accident or that it was something that it was done to him. I think that sadly this is one of those cases that you can make your own, you know, make up your own mind about it. But if you believe in science and if you believe in the autopsy, and let me tell you, there was a lot of I don't know, controversy and everything, but after doing a private investigation, you know, by a third party, one of the I'm gonna call it autopsy people, or you know, it was done by a black person too. So according to this third party investigation, this person would have, I mean, do you know what I mean? I don't think I have to explain that part. Some people believe that it was racially, I don't know, the cause was racial, but this third party investigation showed that there was as many black people as white people working on the case. So, yeah, there are some inconsistencies. So, people still believe that it wasn't an accident. But there's also the biggest chunk of this investigation proves scientifically that it was an accident and that nobody else was involved. I can't even put myself in this family's shoes. I can't. I think this must be one of the most horrible things. I mean, losing your child is one thing that, I mean, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Not even think about it, not even talk about it. I can't really understand what they're going through, but what I can tell you is that it's a nightmare. I mean, for parents, normal people that are listening to this story. I mean, this is a nightmare. You send your kid that is a good kid, that is an athlete, that, you know, it's not in trouble. I mean, he's not a troublemaker. He's not getting in trouble. And then you know what I mean? And then something like this happens, and you're like, what are the odds that my child is going to have that horrible accident? What are the odds? It's such a terrible case. Really. I think that at the end, this is going to be one of those cases that people will have different opinions forever. But it's not going to bring Kendrick back. It's just the fact that the organ ordeal and the newspaper stuffing, and it just added to a horrible story that should never have happened. Again, I would like to know what you think happened. Do you have any other investigations or something that you would like to add to this case so we can get a better idea? Do you have a different theory supported by something that maybe I didn't share? I would like to know in the comments down below. And again, we can agree to disagree. I'm not here to change your mind or anything. I'm just here sharing a case